Hello, this is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan, Google Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, or iHeartRadio. This is Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Alright, we have a lot of stuff today. I am going to start off by talking about my late upload yesterday. The reason that happened is because I talked multiple times on this podcast about my use of the app Spreaker for my podcasts. And there's different plans that you can use. But there's only one plan, and there's only one plan that offers unlimited storage for podcasts. The plan I used that I've been using for pretty much the entire time I've been on this podcast, I believe it was called the On Air Talent. It offered 100 hours of storage, and apparently I reached that peak yesterday, so I had to update, and now I have up to 500 hours of storage. So that should last me at least 2 years, or maybe even 3. Actually, no, hold on. If it's like, I gotta do math. If like a year and a half gets me to, about a year and a half, almost 2 years got me to 100. So it would have to be another year and a half to get me to 200. It's 4.5. This is going to last me a long time. No, I'm just going to, alright. Anyway, that's my explanation, because I uploaded at like 11 last night, which is not normal for me. So, let's get into this podcast. By the way, I don't think with this new plan I'm going to have to split it up into any parts, because I have 180 minutes for each episode now, so I highly doubt any of my podcasts are going to last that long. So, that's good for me. I don't know how that benefits you, but it benefits me greatly. So, okay. So, didn't really want to talk about this, but so many other shows are mentioning this, and it's really like the biggest storyline in sports at the moment, so it wore me down. I have to talk about it. The Deshaun Watson situation. So, Roger Goodell yesterday said the evidence they found calls for at least a full year suspension. Obviously, the NFLPA, the Players Association, is against this. And I don't know, man. Nothing's been proven, or no evidence has been released. Like, the people outside the NFL and the NFLPA haven't seen any evidence about this. So I can't just jump and assume, oh, he's guilty, or he's definitely innocent. I can't do any of those things. Because I don't have anything to back up my opinion. But I think I don't know if I ever told you my stance on this, but it's like, eventually, like, when it gets to 24 people that went against you, and then all those cases, you weren't proven guilty, you just settled it. The only thing they said was there was not enough evidence to prove you guilty. So it's like, like, I don't know. It's a situation that I don't like to comment on, because I already explained that. I don't have any information on it. I'm not a reporter, I'm not an insider, and I'm not in the NFL or in the NFLPA, so I don't have extensive insight on this, but what I can do is give my opinion. That's the most I'm going to give you there. I really don't have I don't have a lot of things to say about that. That's like, I think I'm actually going to talk about it later in the show too, because obviously I write out the things I'm going to talk about on my podcast before, doing it. I don't just improvise, but I don't know. That's my take in this whole situation. I don't know. Like, I don't know what he did. I don't know what I do. I do know what I do know, and this is another thing that kind of leads me to believe he's probably not innocent. I do know he had over 30 massage therapists. So, guilty or not, he's got a bit of a problem. Guilty or not, there's a problem with him, because most athletes just stick with, like, one massage therapist. This man has 30. I think more than one is enough for you, man. Come on. Anyway, let's move on to something I can give more insight about. So, Aaron Rodgers doesn't see any benefit in playing preseason games. I mean, I think he states the obvious here, especially considering his experience. I mean, he's been with the Packers. He's been on their team for 17 years now. He's been starting for them for 14 of them. So it's like, with all the experience he has on their team, like, he knows the system, knows the organization, and he's been with Matt LaFleur enough. There's like zero reason for him to play any preseason games. Even normally what I say is the preseason is for rookies who are just getting into the league, or if anything, maybe players that just got to the organization, and are just learning the system. But Matthew Stafford last year didn't play one preseason snap. And normally you would think, oh, maybe he'll struggle early. Game 1 against I know it's the Bears, but game 1, he was perfect. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, high passer rating. It's the preseason. It's not... I don't think players with experience as Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford are... like... I don't think it's mandatory for them by any means. Even OTAs, they're not a mandatory thing. So it's like, well, that's what it said when Aaron Rodgers didn't attend them last year. A few people thought it was this big thing, like, oh, he's not showing up, he's not coming back. Like, Rodgers rarely does those. Like, by the time he was experienced enough, he really never did them. At all. So it's like... hard for me to overreact to stuff like that, and... I don't think starters should play in the preseason anyway. Like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of fans are hopeful, or they get their... they're, like, excited when preseason rolls around. I'm not really that excited, because it's, like, preseason. The NFL season is in 1 month. That's what I'm excited about. And I'll watch them the preseason to see some of the rookies, some of the... some of the up-and-comers, because I think everyone in their career at some point goes and plays a preseason game. Even Aaron Rodgers did at some point. And, of course, as a Packers fan, I'm going to watch it because I want to see Jordan Love actually show some signs that he is maybe not... he maybe wasn't the dumbest draft pick ever, He hasn't done that yet, though. And he played the Chiefs once, and he almost won. It was a one-possession game, but that's because of the defense. We somehow held the Chiefs to 13 points. Who does that? The only team I can remember dominating the Chiefs like that was the Bucks in the Super Bowl the year before. They gave up 9 points. It's... it's like... I don't know, I'm just worried. I'm worried the Packers are done. Like, they have a few years, then it's just crap fest, you know? But I just gotta trust that people in the Packers organization know more than me, which I believe. It's hard for me to believe in Jordan Love. That's what I'm having a tough time believing in. Okay, so we're going to talk some basketball here. I think this is the one topic of basketball I'm going to talk the entire show. So LeBron, Rich Paul, Darvin Ham, and Rob Pelinka met for a meeting yesterday. So pretty much LeBron, Rich Paul, and the front office, really. They met. So, you know, the Lakers are a mess. The roster they have now is a mess. But here is the thing. Here are the goals, the 4 goals they mentioned. Consistent cohesion. So, to put that into simpler words, playing well together, you know? Foster atmosphere of selflessness. So, selfless play, which is, has always been the way to win, the way I see it. Players have to play new roles, and the offense has to run through Anthony Davis. I agree with the first 3. The last one, I think when he's healthy, if he stays healthy the entire year, absolutely it should run through him. Because LeBron's turning, how old now? Is he turning 39 this year? I think LeBron's turning 39 this year. Gotta look this up, I really don't know. Alright, he turns 38 this year. Turns 38. Okay, so he turns 38 this year. He's heading into his 20th season in the NBA. You know, and the thing is, like, I said this yesterday, like, I don't think AD is the answer to helping a 38-year-old who's becoming less and less available, getting injured more and more often. I don't think AD is the answer, considering how much he gets injured. Like, you have to have someone that's available and can, you know, jump. If in the case LeBron gets injured, they can hold you over until he comes back. That's not AD, though, because there have been multiple times, as AD has been a Laker, where both LeBron and AD are injured, and the Lakers are screwed. Like, they can't do anything without them. And that's another thing they have to worry about, depth. They have no depth. They just have those 2 players, and then when they're gone, game over. But what I really want to talk about is all of those 4 things feel, I might be wrong here, but they feel like a shot at Westbrook. They really do. Like, I mean, playing well together, it can't be Anthony Davis that they're taking shots at. Davis plays well with other people. He plays different roles. He plays the center, power forward, and he doesn't like playing the center. He's mentioned that before. But he plays it when he has to. You know, he is a selfless player. And what was the 4th one? Shoot. I mean, of course he's going to agree with the offense running through him. You know, but, I feel like, and I don't think this is really a shot at Westbrook. I just don't think that's the player he is. Like, he's a ball-centric guy. Really. And in order for him to succeed, normally the offense has to run through him. Now, he did make it work with Kevin Durant until Kevin Durant wanted to leave. You know, but after that, like, after the years with the Thunder where he was the only guy, I think it was only a year. Yeah, it was only a year. Then they got Paul George, and Paul George became an MVP candidate the year later. So I think he's made it work. He made it work with Kevin Durant, but one thing they didn't do in that time was win a championship. They got pretty damn close. They were up 3-1 against the Warriors, and they didn't win. And I'm not bashing them for that. The Warriors were... That was one of the best teams ever. Of course, they lost to the great Cavaliers because they're the best team in the league right now. So, But, yeah. He made it work with KD. I'll give him that credit. He made it work with the offense running through KD. The next year, the offense had to run through him, and he had an MVP year. So even though he made it work with KD, it's clear that he's better. He's better as a player when he's the main guy. That's when he's at his best. Because you gotta look at the team accomplishment. And that's why I say they work with KD, because they got close to winning a championship more than once. They made the finals against the Heat. Against the big three of LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. No one was going to beat the Heat that year. They made the finals. They even won a game in the finals. I mean... they got close twice. I think they got legitimately close twice to winning the finals. So he made it work with KD. After that, not so much. He had 1 year where he was the MVP. So he was great as an individual. He's a great individual player, but not a great team player. The Thunder were out the first round with him in his MVP year. And he was doing everything he could. Broke the triple-double record. That's average a triple-double that year. Did everything he could, but they were out the first round. Easy. And then with Paul George, yet again, out the first round against the Blazers. You have to make it work with the team. And so with the Lakers, it's even worse because he's not the number one guy. He's not... that's LeBron. LeBron's the number one guy. And even now, I think AD is... When he's there, which he rarely is... When he's there, AD is the number 2 guy. So I think that's why it didn't work. And even though most of the time this year, Westbrook was the number 2 because AD was out for 42 games, more than half the year. I think that's why it didn't work because wasn't the number 1 guy, and he couldn't operate his best. So it's just, if the Lakers are trying to win a championship with LeBron, I really believe the best move is to get rid of Westbrook. Send him off somewhere. But it's hard to find a good team, where he can also have his best chance at that championship. Where he would be the number 1 guy. Because it's you send him to a really bad team, he'll be the number 1 guy, but he won't win the championship there. Alright, I am rambling on right now, so I gotta move on. We got a lot to cover here. So, okay. Mekhi Becton, another injury. His season is likely over yet again. And honestly, I don't think the Jets I don't think they lack talent. I really don't. I think they have a lot of misfortunes, though. This injury, big misfortune. Their best lineman out for the year. And they do seem to be headed in the right direction. They draft the right positions, I think. I think they're caught up with the game. where it's moving to. They got the O-line. They drafted the quarterback. We're not sure about Zach Wilson, but mostly, they draft late positions, but they don't get the right players. Like, that's a tough thing to do. But, we don't know about Zach Wilson yet. I think Mekhi Becton has already established himself as a great pick for them, but he's never healthy. So, it's tough to believe in him. But I do think they're headed in the right direction. Although they have a long way to go because they did allow 53 sacks last year, which is the fourth most in the league. But they don't have the worst O-line in the league anymore. So I think they are baby steps, like small improvements. Okay. Aaron Donald said that Josh Allen is a futuristic Big Ben. And in his prime, people forget how great Big Ben was. He's become, kind of defined by the last few years, which were rough, but, especially in terms of size, Allen's a big guy. I do think Allen is a little more talented, than Big Ben was. And I think he has great potential to be better than Big Ben was. But I think it's a very good comparison, him to Big Ben. They play very similarly. Very kind of gunslinger mentality. And they don't mind running, either. They don't mind running into linebackers. They shouldn't, because they're unconventionally big for quarterbacks. Alright. So, Hard Knocks with the Lions. There was it was Jamal Williams that gave a speech on Hard Knocks yesterday. And, my takeaway with the Lions is, they got talent. What I think wins in football now is not turning the ball over, good quarterback play, and talent. I think that's everything you want in the game. I think Detroit has one of those three things. Obviously, they turn the ball over a lot. They don't have very good quarterback play, and but they do have talent, the way I see it. I could talk myself into them winning 8 games, I'd say. But I think they're a 7. I'm gonna go 7-10 team. That's what I'm gonna say. Yeah, I think 7-10 sounds believable. Now the Lions actually have a very good offensive line. Taylor Decker is really good. Penei Sewell was a good pick, I would think. Top to bottom, they stack up well, they have a lot of younger guys, but I think all the talent on there, I think their O-line is really underrated. The knock on it is a lack of starting lineup. Its lack of starting lineup could have consequences, obviously. Frank Ragnow, their center, missed 13 games last season. Injuries are very, and that's the only reason you want depth in football too, not just basketball. I'm not saying you should stack. You should have a great O-line and 2 great centers. But I'm thinking you should get someone as a backup who can hold down the fort while a guy like Frank Ragnow is gone. But they got a top tier set of blockers, and TJ Hawkinson coming back from injury could also help. I think he's a pretty good blocking tight end. I think they're like a 7-10 team. I do. I'm going to go over their schedule because I like. Let's see. At the Eagles week 1, I'll give them a loss. I'll say they're at home against Washington. They open up with 2 straight home games. I'm going to say they split that home stretch. I'm going to say they go 1-1. They start off. Then they go at Minnesota. I'm going to give them a loss. That's 1-2. They're at home against Seattle. I'm going to say that's a win. That's 2-2. I really am. I'm not high on Seattle this year. I think they're just a really bad football team. Then they are at New England. I'm going to give them a loss there. 2-3. I don't think New England's that good, but I do think they're better than the Lions as of now. I think in the future, the Lions could be really good, though. So I'm going to say 2-3. At Dallas, I'm going to say 2-4. Again, I don't really like Dallas that much, but I'll give them a credit that they are good enough to beat the Lions. All right? They have enough talent, and they have a lot of talent, the Cowboys. They do. It's just I don't like that they are perceived. Every year, they start off hot early, and then people call them Super Bowl contenders, and they're not. They never are. They haven't been a Super Bowl contender in 2 decades. Wake up. Anyway, I will give Dallas the win there. So, what is that? That's 2-5. That's 2-5 start. They're versing Miami. I'm going to say that's a loss. They're 2-6. Versus the Packers, I'm going to say 2-7. Then they go at the Bears. I'm going to give them a win there. That's 3-7. And the Giants, I'll give them 4-7. Back-to-back weeks. Clutch road stretch, the Bears and Giants are just really bad teams. While the Lions are going up, it seems like the Giants are going down. I think that I'm gonna give them one there. I'm gonna give them the wins there. I think it's 4-7. Then they are at home against Buffalo. That's still a loss. I'm gonna give them 4-8 there. Versing the Jaguars, at home against the Jaguars, I give them a win. That's 5-8. Versing the Vikings, I think that's 5-9. They're at the Jets. I do think that's 5-10. I definitely did math wrong. Yep. I definitely skipped I don't know what I did, but I definitely got the math wrong there. But yeah, I'm just gonna. I just think they're gonna be like a 7-10 team. 6-11, around there. They'll be better than last year, definitely. So Kingsbury let Kyler call plays in practice to teach him a lesson, apparently. Now, I think I didn't think it was a big deal when it was released. I did understand Kyler's point. If he doesn't really need to study that much, and you still, he just knows, he just has good knowledge of the game. I think that was good. I didn't think that was a bad thing. But I also didn't think it was a bad thing that they told him to study. If he studies more, it can't hurt him. It will only make it better. So I didn't see why it was a terrible thing, but I think the clause was meant to tell him to be a front of the room leader. And like be more than the great talent that he already is. Because he's a great quarterback, but he's not really a franchise guy if he isn't like a front of the room leader. Like a Tom Brady kind of guy. Like he, I don't know. It's hard to define what I mean by front of the room leader. Front of the room leader. But I think that's what they were asking of him. Like, set more of an example, kind of. In that case. Alright, so we're going to talk about the Cowboys situation this year. I just think they'll have a good record, but I think they're going to be second in the NFC East. NFC East. And they've owned that division for the past few years. Like since 2018 when the Eagles won 2018. Ever since then, it's really been the Cowboys' division to lose. And I just feel like beyond CeeDee Lamb, they don't have a lot of skill at their positions. I think Dak is good. They got the Pollard-Zeke situation. By the way, I think Pollard is a better running back than Zeke. I think a lot of people know that already. Pollard is better than Zeke at this point. Zeke is regressing greatly, year by year. So, if they can't tread water early in the year, it's gonna be a rough ride. I mean, I wish I could pull up their schedule right now, but I don't really have it in front of me. So, but I'm gonna say like a 9-8 team around there, maybe 10-7. For the Cowboys, I think they're second in the division to the Eagles. I really do. I think the Eagles. It's just like I said about the Giants and Lions. I think Eagles are headed up. I don't think the Cowboys are really headed anywhere, honestly. I think they're just the same team they were the last 5 years, which is they got talent, but not enough, especially on the defensive side, not enough talent for them. So, all right. So, by the way, Stafford, I think Stafford got I gotta do more research on this, but I think Matthew Stafford had what was it, tendinitis or something in his throwing arm, I believe, and pain could linger into the 2022 season. I don't think it'll hurt. It shouldn't hurt too much for the year, I don't believe. Tendinitis, I don't think it hurts as much as it is annoying. I didn't have it in my arm. I had it, my knee area, kind of. But, I don't think it shouldn't affect the Rams too much. I still have them as my favorites. I still have a Bills-Rams Super Bowl. That's my prediction for this year. Okay, so Katie, I think I talked about this yesterday. Katie told the owner that you had to choose between him or firing the GM and head coach. If you're going to keep him, you got to fire the GM and head coach. And I think this was a strategy here. I think he knows. I don't think he's actually asking for this. I think it's a bluff, is what I'm saying. I think he knows he's not going to get that. Because I think he's getting the sense that they're going to keep him and not grant his trade request, which I wouldn't either. But I think, so that's why I think he's asking, like, hey, if you keep me, you have to fire the owner and the GM. Or no, the GM and the coach. How about? I think he knows he's not going to get that, and I think it's kind of smart on his part if his goal ultimately is to not be in net next year and get traded. So, not sure if I want to give him credit or be really pissed. I mean, like I said yesterday, I don't really feel any sympathy for him because he chose the Nets over the Warriors, which is one of the dumbest moves I've ever seen. You know? So, I'm going to go back to the Lakers meeting. And like I said, they clearly won't win with the current roster they have. It's a mess. But I would be shocked if Westbrook is a Laker by the trade deadline, after the trade deadline. You know, if he's a Laker beyond the trade deadline, I'm going to... It will be... Like, I can't see that happening. Like, I think eventually they gotta find someone that has to have interest in Russell Westbrook. And if not, then all I'm left to believe is that every team in the league no longer has any belief in Westbrook whatsoever. So, alright. So an interesting team this year that for me, I think, it's an interesting division, really, the AFC West. It's hard to predict. I can go either way. Like I said, the Chiefs are actually the one team the Chiefs are the one team in the AFC West that I don't think improved this offseason. Raiders got Devontae Adams. They hired Josh McDaniels, who I think is more humble than he was the first job he had. You know, they got Derek Carr, not in the offseason, but they have him on their roster, and they got Devontae Adams, who has a relationship with Derek Carr. You know, like he has a prior relationship when they were, you know, in college together. And, so they've succeeded together before. You know, so I think that's an important factor there. You know, the Chargers have just been only getting better. Broncos got Russell Wilson, and I think everyone said, you know, quarterback away. And they got the quarterback. So that's why I think the Broncos are the winners for the AFC West this year. But, I think it's possible the Chiefs go down this year. And they're like a 500 team. 8-9, 9-8 team in that range. You know, I think Kelsey is going to get double covered a lot more than he's used to. Tyreek Hill's not there. There's no one to throw it deep down field to. I'm not suggesting he's going to fall off crazy. I think Mahomes, his stats are going to drop a little bit. That's what I'm suggesting. The Patriots are, they're going to have a tougher year. I'm probably going to put them at like 7-10, 8-9 at best. First of all, they have the least impressive receiving core in the league. They have Mac Jones, who I've never been impressed with from the start. And I did last year admit that I was wrong. He was a success for a little bit. And, you know, now he's kind of showing signs that he isn't exactly a great quarterback. I'm not shocked by it. There's very few quarterbacks, I can't stress it enough, there hasn't been a very good quarterback to come out of Alabama in a while. Since, like, Joe Namath. Or was it Ken Stabler? I don't know. It was someone. You know? But, you know, they have a pretty good O-line. Probably a top 10 O-line. But, other than that, least impressive receiving corps in the league. Not a very impressive quarterback. There's not really an impressive team. You know? I mean, I don't think much better than the Jets. I don't know if that's crazy to say, but I don't think they're much better than the Jets right now. I think it's Buffalo wins that division. Miami is decently close second. Then you got the Pats and Jets. They can go either way, the way I see it. The Field of Dreams game is tomorrow. And, you know, I think part of the reason it was fun last year was because there was high-scoring games. There were two great teams. Also, two great pitching staffs, the Yankees and White Sox. You know, this year it's two teams that are well below 500. So it's hard to imagine me liking that. You know, but I guess it could be a great game. Maybe there's a lot of runs scored because the pitchers are terrible. Although tomorrow it's not going to be... There's two decent pitchers. Gotta figure out who's pitching. But I think it's like they both have around a 4 ERA. Yeah. Drew Smyly and Nick Lodolo. Yeah. They're not bad pitchers, but it's like... It's hard to see this series being anything like the White Sox and Yankees. They're both 44 and 66. Actually, the Cubs are 45 and 65. Never mind. It's a much better difference. Alright. So, back to the Deshaun Watson situation. I do understand the fans that are confused about the process. I being one of them. Me being one of them, you know. What I'm more confused about is the process of the suspension. Like, the judge ruled 6 games. You know, like, but Goodell is saying the evidence calls for a full year. Like, there's no way they have different evidence. I mean, unless they do, I don't see that happening, though. I think they had the same suspension, or same evidence, but they have different beliefs on how it should be punished, you know? But like I said, it's hard to really give my stance on this, because there's no evidence. There's no released evidence, I should restate. No released evidence I did anything. They're just saying the evidence that they see, you know, it calls for, it's like predatory behavior, and calls for a whole year. I mean, I think I would say like 12 games. It's me guessing. You know, I'd say 12 games probably. That might be the compromise to come up with. You know, but it's a tough situation. So, well, Rodgers stated another obvious statement. He said, "I'd like to win another Super Bowl." You know, it's kind of crazy that I don't know what happened, but Rodgers got he's gotten a lot more, he's in a lot more headlines the last, 2 off seasons. I mean, last year it was just a trade request, and I find it crazy that he never said anything about a trade request. It was just Adam Schefter reported it, and then there was just nothing. Rodgers just kind of didn't say it out. He didn't really say it out loud, but he kind of just said. He didn't really deny it. Really, he kind of went along with it, and explained some of the reasons he was unhappy there. So, fortunately, led us to believe that Rodgers was wanting to go out. So that was headlines. And this year, he doesn't have any controversies this year, but except for ayahuasca, the psychedelic drink, like, but he's become more of a, the crazy thing is, it seems like, outside of football, he seems like a big risk taker, very, outspoken kind of guy, like, not getting vaccinated. And he said he was allergic to what was it, like an mRNA or something? He was allergic to, like, a protein in the vaccine. That was his excuse for not getting it, and I don't know. But, that was, like, I think I still would have gotten the vaccine in his case, because it was, it would have made his week a lot less tougher, because, he wouldn't have been out for a week. But it's like in games, he's not like that on the field. Like, he's conservative. He makes the safe choice, which isn't bad, but it's not even close to what he's like in real life. Like, Brady, determined, disciplined on the field, same thing off the field. But it's just like he's so much different off the field and on the field. It's just, it's not even like it's close in behavior. Like, it's not even like it's at all similar. It's just complete polar opposites. Alright, I got 3 more segments left, and this show is done. And by the way, I exceeded the 45-minute mark already. So, thank God for this new plan that I'm doing. So, alright. I'm going to go back to the Lakers meeting again for the 3rd time in this entire podcast, because I think I should. Now, LeBron is smart. He's the connecting fiber with AD and Westbrook, And I think they picked the right decision makers for this. Because you can't just have the front office making the decisions, because it's possible to make the players unhappy. So they got their most experienced player, LeBron. I think that was smart. They got Rich Paul, who represents both LeBron and AD. Because clearly they talked about wanting to trade AD, so they got his agent there. And then Rob Pelinka and Darvin Ham, the new head coach. So, the right decision makers for that, And the question, since AD was traded here, so for literally the last 3.5 years, the question has been, can AD stay healthy? He missed 42 games last year. And there's no argument that AD is great when he plays. He's always great when he plays. I said the same thing about Kyrie last year, though. He missed 75% of the season. And, he averaged 27 when he was there. But he was never there. So it's rarely there. He was pretty much never there. okay, last year Anthony Davis he played 40 games. He averaged 23, 10, and shot 50% from the field. He's great when he's there. Great when he's on the floor. But the Nets, on the other hand, with Kyrie, he averaged 27, played 29 games. It's like, with those two guys, it's like, okay, they're amazing when they play. But, 70% of the season, they're out. It's like, so it's tough to believe in them, But I think, and like I said, I think even if AD is healthy this year, I personally would trade him at the trade deadline. Because his value's up, and teams are probably going to want him at that point. Get good value, and there's a good chance he gets injured later in the year. But it doesn't look like they will because they're trying to run the offense around them, so we'll see how that works. And for the final segment of the day, Sean McVay announced signing a contract. And he says there's also a deal in the works for the Rams GM, Les Snead. So, I think he's pretty damn decorated right now. Especially for his age. He's 39, he has 2 Super Bowl appearances and won 1. He seems very into it. I think that he's going to be with the Rams for a while. And I don't know if they will repeat, but I think they're in a very good spot to repeat. There's very few teams like the Rams in the league. Where you got a great quarterback, great receiving core, good O-line. Yeah, Cam Akers back, running back. That's a good person to have in the backfield. And then got a great defense. They got Sean McVay. You have a very great team right now. And they're just in phenomenal spot to repeat. Okay, so a 52-minute podcast. That's awesome. It's awesome to have one of those and not have to stop in the middle. So, alright. This was Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. Google Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, or iHeartRadio. It's Dylan Miller on Daily Dose of Dylan. I will see you tomorrow.